I've been what I call a Zen junkie for a while now, since about 2018 when I really got serious about spirituality. I call it Zen junkie. Not every spiritual teaching is Zen, but that's sort of a catch-all that we've just applied to it. Yeah, I just anything from some kind of spiritual teacher that delves into topics of what I am and what the true essence of all things are just has really lit me up in a similar way to just how general entertainment can kind of light somebody up, the same way somebody could always want to listen to football podcasts, when they can't just be sitting there watching football and they follow every single team and all that stuff. It's like that's kind of how I was for a long time. And about a year ago, I was saying to my spiritual teacher, my guide, I said that, this sounds weird while I'm in this process of awakening, but I feel a lot less compelled to consume a lot of that material now. Does that feel does that feel a little bit wrong? That I feel like I'm sort of beyond the teaching at that point? And he gave me a whole lot of reassurance that no, it's a good place to be at, to be stepping away from secondhand information, even if it's super valuable secondhand information that points you to your own direct realization. I think it just it comes down to what angle you're coming from when you're consuming it. Because, like I said, I'd like having it just on in the background as entertainment a lot of the time. There was also some little bit of expectation that by just listening to a whole bunch of people talk spiritual and, read about it, that would somehow sidestep the need for me to have my own real dedicated practice that would lead me to my own direct experience of awakening. Like, I could sidestep all of that by just consuming enough information to the point where my thinking was so incredibly zen that that's just I've reached it. I've reached the point. I am just enlightened now. That's how it goes. So from that angle, even though it was very good material that I was consuming, I wasn't consuming it in a way that was really conducive to any sort of personal growth. It's not particular to spirituality. I people who have also gotten into any kind of self-help in the past, like myself, I mean, have sort of thought, oh, but that stuff that they're saying I should do in the self-help, that stuff's kind of hard. That's a challenge. So maybe I'll just listen to another book, another audiobook instead. Maybe I'll just go watch another TED Talk. And, from all that, I will sidestep the need for actual action. And I will just have the experience of being personally developed because I hear all these great concepts that I super duper duper agree with and believe in. That was one of the hardest things for me to wrap my mind around. Was I think it was Leo from Actualized said some sort of personal development statement. It was very powerful. And then he said, but it's not enough for you to just agree with me. You have to do the own work, like your own work, to come to this conclusion that I've been able to come to. But don't you hate hearing that? Don't you hate hearing that you are in charge of your own actions and your own destiny? Even though that's the most empowering thing you can hear. Yeah, and so these days I still consume quite a bit of, quote, spiritual material. There's some podcasts and audiobooks and I love the Tao Te Ching. I have a little pocket copy of the Tao Te Ching that I have with me almost all the time. And I don't consume it in the way that I used to. Oftentimes I start listening to it or reading it and I get one or two really solid statements that this spiritual teacher has made. And then I'm like, dude, that's enough for now. That's enough for now. They just gave me that and let me sit with it and, yeah, just sort of contemplate what I've just received. But yeah, there is still some fear in me sometimes that, like, am I just reaching a really spiritually egotistic state where I feel that I am beyond the need for anybody to ever help guide me? No, because I don't think that I'm beyond the need for anybody to ever help guide me. I just don't think that. I understand the value of my own personal practice and my own personal experiences, my own awakenings, and my own elucidation of said awakenings through this format of making a video or any other format I might find if I ever wrote a spiritual book. But there is still a sense of like, no, somebody else come here and save me. Somebody else please just give me awakening without my having to do anything. And I'll also admit that, I've thought about being sort of a spiritual teacher in the past, and I've thought, what if I just like blindly recited, in my own words, just rotely, a lot of these concepts that I have heard other people make without ever actually having that direct experience? Like somebody who's had some kind of realization of what God is. I'll just agree with that, and then I'll pretend as though I've had that God realization experience in a YouTube video. And could I get a lot of followers? Could I be interesting? Could I be fun to listen to in the same way that these people are compelling to listen to? But I'm not very good at doing things that are inauthentic for very long. I can do it in a pinch. I mean, yeah, I can do it in a pinch, but sustainably, not so much. Like long term, doesn't really work that way. This is where I also need to watch that I have pretty good integrity about sharing this kind of stuff, and that I'm not overstepping too much what my actual experience has been. I could put on a robe and really get into character, because I am an actor, of this person that has transcended all ego and therefore has that mild-mannered monk demeanor that we've all come to expect so much out of enlightened people. But I think it's more it's more honest, and it's ironically a higher level of consciousness to just present myself as I actually am. And of course, the quote that I always come back to is like, confusing the teaching for the experience is like confusing the map for the destination. You can stare at a map to Egypt all you want to. Doesn't mean that you're in Egypt. I also like I've heard it said, it's like confusing the menu for the food that you're going to order. You can't eat the menu and get any sort of sustenance out of it. But the last point is that words are wonderful. They are limited, but they are great guides. I love words. I love words. I love communication in general. And I'm never going to stop having that love of communication. My goodness. What a gift it is to even be able to make the attempt to share my experience with other people. And in a way, what a gift it is but I'm the only one that really knows what my exact personal experience was like. Because I'm the only one that can have that. And how cool it is that you're the only one that can have yours. Whoever's watching. Gaining perspectives from other people, from a huge array of people, will always be such a valuable gift that reality has given us. But I should never feel, and you should never feel, like you can trade in your own experience in exchange for the idea of somebody else's. Your own experience is the most powerful and realist one, and the only one that you will ever have.